Both of these darker, atmospheric books, I'm loving. I'm having such a good week. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten. As usual, I'm kicking off the vlog 2 seconds after I finished another one, and that's because I did actually come home to some book mail, and again, I didn't order these, so I really wanted to start off this one because I'm an impatient person and didn't want to wait till tomorrow afternoon because I'm working in the morning. I thought it would be a lovely way to start the vlog, so let's have a little look. Okay, so I'm starting off with the smaller one. Well, thinner one, I should say. Oh, amazing. So we have Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, and this is in the beautiful English Library edition, and we have a note. Oh my gosh, we have a note. It's from Naomi C. Thank you so much, Naomi. It says, love your videos, congrats on 1K from Naomi. Oh, thank you so much. You really didn't have to, but I am so happy to have this. Or what a way to end a day, like amazing. Or technically starting a vlog but ending my day. Like, this is absolutely beautiful. I love these editions so much, and Sense and Sensibility was a really lovely story by Jane Austen. Yeah, thank you so much. I will be keeping the note in the book so I know exactly sent me, and oh, thank you. That is too kind. Then we have the small one, but seems to be like, it feels heavier. Ooh, okay, so we have a hardback book. Ooh, The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood. Oh, and another note, and oh my god, again from Naomi, thank you so much. Just says, enjoy your gift, and thank you. It's too much. 2 books is too many. But this one is one that I've actually had on my wish list for absolutely ages. I remember getting so intrigued by this one, but just never got around to actually picking it up. And it says, what if you knew how and when you would die? Hence why I was so interested in it. So it says, Corso was raised by a death cult steeped in old magic. So on her 14th birthday, she must climb the mountain and enter the Shrine of the Unspoken. There she will gain the most honoured title, Sacrifice. Yet even as she waits for the end, a powerful mage offers her a new fate. That's why I was so interested in it, because it sounds amazing to have this whole thing built around the fact that she is meant to be a sacrifice, and then she gets this choice, and what choice is she going to make? It sounds really interesting, really dark, and even on the front it says priestess, assassin, traitor. So yeah, I am super excited for this one. Very thankful. I have a beautiful one to add to my collection that I want to grow of my classics in the English Library edition, and a brand new hardback, which is just, fantasy, but I feel like this is going to be the type of darker fantasy that I'm enjoying and kind of in the mood for, especially coming up to like autumn. I mean, okay, we're in the middle of summer, but autumn is going to come, and that's going to be perfect for it. So definitely think that's going to be saved for then. But thank you so much, Naomi. That's absolutely lovely. I appreciate it so much. I feel so grateful and so blessed. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. But yeah, okay, well, I haven't actually started a book because I've literally just finished the one that I then finished in last week's vlog, but for this week I do plan on reading Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuku Tsushimura, and this is I don't really know whether this is magical realism or whether it is just a straight fantasy book, and I'm also not sure on the age range, because this is about a child who feels lonely, who then finds a castle in her mirror and goes through it and finds other children like her. So portal fantasy, which I absolutely adore. To me that kind of feels like it could be a younger read, but also I've only ever seen it in the adult sections, so who actually knows? I guess we're going to find out, but this is a beautiful pink cover. I know I was meant to save this for my 24-hour readathon, but I really want to start it now instead of then. And I think what I might do is the book that you guys were choosing between for me to read for the month, I might try and fit that one into the 24-hour readathon as well. Oh no, that was this book. What am I talking about? That was this book. Okay, well the other book that you guys had to choose between was Lonely Castle in the Mirror or Solo Dance. I'll add Solo Dance into that somehow. I don't know. I really want to pick this one up. Or do I actually be good and pick up Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray? which might actually be the smarter choice because I am on earlies. And I feel like this, from what I remembered of the Diviners, because this is book 2 in a series, that was a really, really easy read, like to follow. And I feel like actually it didn't take much concentration. So maybe I'll read this one this week actually instead of this one, and actually save this one for what I planned to do, which was at least start it during the 24-hour readathon, which isn't for a little while yet. But I really want to read this, but also this is the smarter option for me being so tired. You know what, we're going to decide tomorrow morning when I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're just going to pick up whatever book I hit first, and that's what we're going to spend the week reading. Sorted. There we go. Well, that was a bit of a whirlwind of an opening vlog, but I hope you guys are all doing so well, and yes, I'm so excited for the fact that we've hit 1,000 and it hasn't gone down. Like, I'm just in awe. Like, I was constantly convinced that it's just going to drop, and it's, you know, it's one of those things, but you guys are just too amazing. And again, thank you so much, Naomi, for this. Those 2 books, oh my gosh, thank you so much. But yes, I do hope you're all doing well. Let me know what you're reading, and the 1,000 subscriber video will be coming out soon. I'm just going to be filming that one and getting it to you, and as said, there will be a giveaway and everything. Like, I've got everything planned. Okay, well, this was a really long introduction. I feel like it was very chaotic, but thank you so much. And right, okay, I'm gonna start getting ready for bed because I do actually have to sleep soon, even though it's so beautiful and bright out, but I am actually sleeping in a couple of hours time. So we need to rein back the energy, get into sleep mode, and I'll probably catch up with you tomorrow after work looking rather tired with what book I ended up picking up in the morning. So yeah, let's go do that. But actually, or do I play Animal Crossing for a couple hours first? Yeah, we're probably going to do that. Okay, well maybe I'll put in some of that because I've added to my island and I'm very happy with it. Chaotic energy, calm. Okay, I swear this is probably not going to be how this week's going to go, because from tomorrow I'm probably going to be extremely tired at the fact that I've got 5 early shifts in a row. So let's enjoy the energy while we have it, I guess. Tired Kirsten made an awesome choice yesterday because, well, this morning, we went for Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray, and this has been so good. Okay, so I have read up to the chapter name, because there's no numbers, of the Lair of Dreams, so I'm very excited. And we're up to page 113. It's brilliant, it's fantastic. Before I get into all of that, I just want to show off this because it's stunning. Look how awesome this is. I love it, and there are some quotes here as well, and all of it's talking about dreams, which works really well for this because it is all about dreams, as we know, Lair of Dreams, but we are actually meaning proper dreams, like people are falling asleep. So the big mystery in this one is that people are falling asleep and not waking up, that they're getting trapped inside their dreams into a nightmare and nothing can wake them up, and so they're treating it as a sleeping sickness, especially because these people have been trapped in them so long, they start getting like boils and stuff on their hands, and it's really quite gruesome actually thinking about it, but so interesting. And yeah, loving it. So we have that in the background, like it's just starting up. There's been a few cases, but it's not affecting our main lot of characters too much yet, apart from one of them. With that being said, there are a lot of main characters in here in terms of we get a lot of perspectives, but it works really well actually. I don't feel like there's too many that you can't get a real gist of who each one is, especially because in the first book you spend time with these characters, they are really fleshed out, and it just kind of continues. And as much as I read the first book last year, and so some of the points were getting a bit hazy and some of the characters were, this does a really good job of going back over what happened, but without it being an info dumpy way. So that's something I can be quite particular about, is how we actually recap what's happened, especially because you'll get some books that just info dump it all on you and it's so frustrating, whereas this does it in such a good way. It feels so natural and I like it for that. So you still get that recap, so if the things are getting a bit hazy but you don't want to pick up the first book to reread, this does an actually good way of going back over that with making you feel like, oh yes, I remember all these things, but not in a way that makes you go, okay, I've been beat around the head by it. So I really appreciated that, thought it was really good. Another thing that I again appreciate, not just in this book but in the Diviners as well, is the way Libba Bray comments on society at the time. And so because we are set in 1920s New York City, you do have the segregation that's going on between black and white people, the way black people are treated really badly, not just black people but anyone that's immigrated as far as they're concerned. Like, it doesn't matter if you've grown up in America or if your parents are from somewhere else or something like that, then automatically treated so badly. And it does a really good job because again it weaves it in without calling and being like liberal, because I've read some books by authors that do this where they're like, oh look at me, we're showing off this part and we're having it in here, but not actually calling it out, whereas our main characters do. They go, but this isn't right, we shouldn't be treating people this way just because they're this, it's wrong. And I like that we have a really good way of doing that, calling out of society, saying how wrong it is to have these prejudices, but also doing it in a way that's natural for our main characters as well. So I don't know if I'm doing a good job of describing that, but it's just done in a really good way. We also have the commentary on the fact that one of our main characters is gay and how that is seen as a crime at this time and how difficult it is that he's had to hide, especially when he's thinking about the person that he loves. In the past, they're not together at the moment because of various things that are going on, which I won't give away because spoilers. The fact that they did have to hide their relationship and everything, and how he was always filled with shame for who he was, and then he realizes that no, it's okay. And again, we have friends that accept him for who he is, and I like that. I like the fact that we do have our main characters that don't agree with the prejudices of their time, whereas I've known other authors to do it where their main characters agree with these beliefs because they're written in that time period. And I think the good thing about being a modern day author looking back then and set in a fantasy book in that time period is that you can make those liberties with a book and change those things and have your characters think in a way that's not right. But yeah, the atmosphere for this is fantastic. You do have those cases of people that are fallen into these dreams and can't wake up and everything, so you do have all of that, and just the general tone for this book is a little bit darker, but it's also paired with 1920s New York. What you think of when it calls to mind of that flapper scene, the speakeasies and all of that, it's all in here as well, and I think it's done really well to set that tone. It feels so real and I love it for that. Even just the way the characters talk to one another, they do a lot of things like golly and gee and just lots of random little words like that, but again setting that tone for the fact that we are in the 1920s and this is the way it would have been. I love it for that. I think it does such a good job. So yeah, so we have the build up, the first 100 pages, we have looked back at what our characters are going through, we've kind of re-met up with all of them, seen where they're all at, what they're all dealing with from the events of the first book, and now how this new thing that's taken over, how it's going to deal with. We have all of that set up there. And I really like that, and just in general it just feels like I've been plopped straight back into this world. There's been nothing that I've had to get used to again. It's so easy to read. The chapters are really short as well, so it makes it even better. So this was such a good choice for my early shifts because it's so easy to follow and yet so good at the exact same time. Genuinely forgotten how much I enjoyed this, especially like the Diviners. Like, I knew I'd really enjoyed it, but I'd forgotten quite how much I enjoyed it, and just it's lovely that this second book has reignited my love for this. So yeah, it's great. It is fantastic. I love it. I love the darker atmosphere paired with the flamboyancy of everything. I love all our characters, how different they all are, the different things that they're all trying to deal with. It's great. It's great. I'm loving this. So that is what I've been reading today. Yesterday evening I didn't do anything apart from sit down and play Animal Crossing for a little bit. I had such a terrible night's sleep and I don't even know why. It doesn't matter because today we have had start of a really good book, and then this rest of this afternoon, evening, I'm just gonna probably end up playing Animal Crossing again, but we'll see. We'll see. Right, I feel more rambles coming on, but I feel like I've talked for long enough, especially considering we've just had the first bit of this book come up, so definitely talked enough about that. So yeah, okay, we're gonna go and do some food because I'm getting hungry. That's good. Well, it's been a couple of days and it is really hot, so we're going to do this hopefully quick so I can just go and have a shower, hence why the fringe is off the forehead, because it's too hot, people, especially when I've just come back from work. Normally, don't get me wrong, I love this weather, it's absolutely amazing, but our work uniform is designed for winter, not summer. So that's been fun. Regardless, that's not the point. The point is we have some reading updates. So I have to admit, I have been mainly just focusing on Layer of Dreams. I'm now on page 392, so I've only got this a little bit left and I'm loving this. I don't want to say too much beyond what I've already said because of spoilers and it being a second book in a series, but it's just been fantastic. However, I will say the sleeping sickness very much mirrors what happened with the pandemic. It feels very similar in terms of the fear, the hatred, the racism that's piling up. There are some points that I do think will be hard for some people to read, especially with what is happening now in America and everything that's been going on. So just be wary of that going into it, or at least be aware that that does take place. Like I've mentioned before, our main characters do not believe in what's happening. They're not the sort of ones to be prejudiced in that way. However, they are witnessing it happen, so you will have that mentioned, and I do think it works well because of the setting of this book. It is very true to how it was back then, that racism, that segregation and everything, but parts of it I've just found really hard to read at times. But other parts are just so much fun and light-hearted between our characters, with them all joking around and everything. And also the fact that you do have this dark and creepy atmosphere, I do think it parries very well together. So yeah, loving this. Although it is making me just want to read a lot of atmospheric books because of how well this is done. It's so good, but it's also making me want kind of autumn in a way. Don't get me wrong, I am a summer child at heart when I'm not at work. It just works so well for autumn, and all I want to do with this book is have a hot cup of tea with some blankets and some cozy jumpers and just devour this. It's so good, and I think if it weren't for the fact that I'm on earlies, I would actually be reading this more when I'm at home, but I'm so tired when I get in that a lot of my energy just gets used up just cooking and then editing a video, and then that's it, I'm out. I'm playing Animal Crossing and falling asleep. I know the reread's going to happen, but the reread is going to happen during autumn. I feel like that's going to be the perfect time for this series, especially with all the occult themes and everything. With regards to the plot in this one, it is quite interesting. I feel like it's quite a good pacing. Like, it is slow because you have so many different perspectives in this book, and each perspective has their own plot that they're following. Some of them do pair up together and it works really well, but all of these characters know each other in some way. And that's what I like they're linked linked through people in some way, so they all work together. Even though their storylines are separate from each other, like that's how it all connects. Like, I think I did a terrible job of explaining that, but the plot line of what is actually happening with regards to the sleeping sickness and how it's impacting them in different ways, plus their own personal things that are going on, the things that they're trying to achieve. That's all really interesting, and it's also quite just a slow, sinister feeling that there is all of this stuff that's linked together somehow, and it's just not good. And I like that. I like that. I think it's really, really interesting. So yeah, pacing, plot, atmosphere, loving it. Loving it all so much, plus the fact that we do have so many criticisms of society at that time, and Liberate is using her main characters to criticize what is happening with society through them, and I like that. I really do like that. Fantastic book, absolutely loving it. Speaking of the fact that I want to read that during autumn because it is the time to read those darker atmospheric books, does bring me to my buddy read, which is Nettle and Bone. I'm buddy reading this with Ellie and Steph, who I'll have linked below, and this is so good. So okay, I will admit, since I last spoke, which was last week, about this book, because we've broken it down into a certain amount of chapters for each week, I've only read one chapter, so I'm now up to chapter 8, but I just love it. So I'll do a very quick recap just for anyone that has already watched it. It would be really boring otherwise. We're following Mara, and Mara's on this quest to save her sister because her sister is stuck in this really abusive marriage, but because she is a princess, the prince who's trapped her has done it in a political chokehold, so she has no choice. She has to put up with this abuse. So trigger warnings for that. But Mara has decided, you know what, enough's enough. Nobody else is going to save her sister, so she's going to take it upon herself to do so. She is 30 years old, and she talks a lot about how she's been so slow to get to this point, but she's there. She has had enough. She's fed up of holding out hope. This world is not a good one, and so she's going to take matters into her own hands. And we meet her as she is trying to do these 3 impossible tasks to get a grave witch to help her. Now we're at the point where they're starting to go on their journey together, and I'm loving it. I'm also loving the buddy read of this. It's been so good to actually talk about it and talk about what we like about it and what's happening, although they're now waiting on me to actually finish the chapters for this, so I'm gonna try and read 4 chapters this evening. It's just been so much fun. It's been ages since I've done a buddy read, and I forgot how much I do enjoy them. It does mean that I read the books slower, but I have a new appreciation for that and just enjoyment. Instead of what I would have done with this book, which is reading it in like 2 days, spreading it out over the whole month and reading just a few chapters each week has been so enjoyable, especially because I like this book. So it's just been so much fun to go back to. And having both of these darker atmospheric books, I'm loving. I'm having such a good week. I was never much of a seasonal reader, but I've realised that I kind of am, because I just want to read these in autumn and winter. Like, that's the time that's calling out to me. And I've just been enjoying like Jane Austen and that in summertime, where genuinely I can read books at any point in the year and enjoy them. But again, I've just got that new appreciation of having the setting around me be perfect with those books. Like, for example, I love reading Jane Austen outside, picnic, sunshine, beautiful, perfect, absolutely love it. These I want with a hot drink and a blanket. It is getting really noisy in this house, so I think that's my cue that we're not going to be doing the ramble. Enjoying both of these. It's giving me autumn vibes, even though it is bright sunshine and it's so warm out. But right now I am going to have a shower, cool off, and then the plan is to read more of Nettle and Bone today, get those 4 chapters read. Fingers crossed that happens, but we will see. And right, with that, I'm gonna go. You're gonna see me very soon, probably in a few moments, and I'll catch up with you at some point. Good afternoon. I've had a nice couple days since I last spoke to you. So as we know, Thursday was just chaotic. We had the nephew over, then Friday morning I had work, then Friday evening I was out and met my partner, and then today was with him this morning and just came home. So very busy, very warm, hence the fringe being off the forehead, because we just It's too warm for that today. However, reading updates. We actually have reading updates. Oh, also, if you notice that this little plant is looking a lot smaller, that's because it is. I also had to separate it, so we have part of it in here, part of it there. It had spider mites and it was overrun. It's the first time I've ever had to deal with them, so I wasn't really sure what I was seeing, and then I figured, oh, that's what it is. By that point it was getting bad, so we just completely cleaned it all off and repotted into 2 separate bits to take off all the healthier bits, and some of it just couldn't be saved. And then I've just been treating all my other houseplants just in case. It's a whole thing. It's a whole plant thing that I never really thought about, but fingers crossed what we've done is working. I mean, so far, because this all happened on Thursday, I haven't seen any more spider mites on them, but we'll continue with the treatments and stuff. I literally just did loads and loads of research on it and just found the best ways to deal with it. So fingers crossed that works. But yes, that's the change. However, reading news. We have quite a bit. So I did actually read the chapters that I needed to read of Nettle and Bone, so I am officially up to chapter 12. It's been really interesting and I have loved doing this buddy read. I've also enjoyed reading this slowly, because as much as I don't have a short story collection on my TBR this month, because I've been reading this so slowly, it kind of feels like that in a way, if that makes sense. Probably not. I like it. I'm really happy that I have one book that I'm taking slowly, and being able to just discuss my thoughts with people. It's just been lovely. Something that I was talking to Steph and Ellie about is the fact that I like that all the typical tropes have been twisted. I like that. I just find it so much more interesting. It does get really boring when you have the same tropes over and over again, like The Chosen One. You have this main character that is so young, and yet suddenly she has all this power and she's so unique and she can do all these things and it's so unusual and stuff. And we just don't have that in this. Amara is someone who is in her 30s. She just feels so overwhelmed and stressed out and overthinks all the time. And she knows that, you know what, she doesn't have any special powers and stuff. But what she does have is grit and determination to make things right, and that is what gets her through this, and I like that. It makes her so much more relatable. So yeah, loving that. And then the other thing that I'm liking is another trope twist, is the whole damsel in distress and the big strong man comes along and saves them. I like the fact that this has been turned on its head. Whether it ends up as a love interest is something that we've been talking about, because we're not sure. It definitely has the beginnings of what could be a love interest, but we're also hoping that it just stays platonic. Regardless, I like the fact that instead of the big strong man being the one that saves Mara, it's the other way around, and Mara's saving this big strong man. And don't get me wrong, she's not happy about it, but she does it anyway because it's the right thing to do, and she just, again, it's that grit, determination, stubbornness really. There have been moments in this where I've been like, oof, and that is a whole part with teeth, which I'm not going to explain, but yeah, I was reading that bit, and you know when you do the whole like swipe your tongue around your mouth thing, make sure your teeth are all still there? Yeah, it was one of those moments. It was just very like, oof, no thank you. And also moths. I don't like moths, I don't like bugs, so that was a big thing in this. I wouldn't say a big thing, but definitely something that I picked up on. And yeah, just the continuation with the great atmosphere and everything. Like, this is just an enjoyable read, and I am enjoying it. Like, it's entertaining. I really can't say a bad thing about this so far, although we do wonder what's going to happen. We've got this ragtag crew, they've done all these things, we've now got the final member of our crew, and we only have this much left to go, and it's just like, okay, so how are they going to bring this prince down? Because none of them seem to have a clue what they're actually doing. So that's something that we're a bit like, we wonder how that's actually going to happen. So yeah, it's just been good, and like I said, I've been enjoying just being able to discuss this one properly and everything. It's been really good. Then Lair of Dreams, which I did actually finish, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it's something that I can honestly say, okay, so the ending did feel a bit convenient, but I loved everything else about this book so much. Like, you know, I've been gushing about the setting and the atmosphere and just the things that society is dealing with at that time, the way our main characters interact with all of it. You know I'm loving that because I've been going on about it for ages. There was a moment in this that made me cry. Like, it was so funny. I was at work, I was reading it, and I knew it was going to happen. It was one of those things that you know it's going to happen, you know it's coming, and yet it still got to me. It still got to me, and I put the foot down. I was just like, no, no, I can't be doing this. You had the tears well in, and I'm sitting there and I'm at work and I've got 2 people with me. One turned around and said to me, what's wrong? And so I explained, I was like, my book is really quite sad at the moment and I just need to put it down. And the other colleague chimed in and was just like, I get that. She was very much like, I get that. I've cried at books. I do cry at books. I understand. And the other one was just like, what are you talking about? Why are you getting upset over this? It's just a book. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. It's sad. And it was very sad. I needed a moment to compose myself. And then I finished it on the train home because I was just like, I can't with this book. But it was fantastic, really enjoyed it. I really want to get the next 2. Now I've heard mixed things about the 4th one and the way it actually ends, but regardless, I'm still really enjoying this, so I definitely want to get the next 2. It's just fantastic, loving it so much. Reading these 2 books together has been just the best experience, but it has made me want all of those dark, occult, fairy tale vibes, like just those dark atmospheric settings. So now I'm thinking next week for you, thinking this evening for me, to just pick up something different, because I actually finished books quicker than what I thought I was going to, so I actually have a week free, meaning I can pick up whatever I want. So I'm thinking to do that and just have a week where I just mood read, and I'm really in that mood, so maybe we're going to do that. But you guys are going to find out next week in next week's vlog, because I'm actually going to finish this up here, seeing as I have finished Lair of Dreams and read the bit that I needed to, and we are on a Saturday afternoon. We're just going to finish it. So yeah, fantastic. Let's put a crow emoji, or like a bird emoji. Did I use that one last time? I feel like I've used it recently for something, but regardless, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Let me know if you've read either of these books, or even if you enjoy like buddy reads or atmospheric witchy occult books and stuff, or if you have any recommendations of those sort of books, then put those in the comments below. We're going to stick to a crow. There is a lot to do with crows in this. Like a lot. So any like black bird emoji, if there is one, if not just a bird. And I am going to finish it up here because I've got some filming that I want to do, because I need to film the thank you for 1,000 subscribers video, which you all chose and voted on an actual bookshelf tour. So I've got to somehow try and do that, and it's ridiculously hot. Fingers crossed it stays quiet enough that I can actually film all of that. So that's what I need to go and do, which I'm still rambling. Right, okay, we're gonna go. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, don't forget to give it that thumbs up, subscribe, comment to let me know that you're here. Social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.